Well, we're going to get in lots of trouble tonight, I suppose. I've got a lot of neat guests coming up, and I just have a surprise guest for you tonight. Subject, the Chupacabra. And I've got a million faxes and emails here. Dear Art, we saw a report about the goat sucker, or Chupacabra, on our local NBC Channel 4 News today out of Los Angeles. The news anchors, Ken and Barbie, did not seem amused. Looks like some fairly serious stuff. See you on the radio. Regards, Bill.
Hello, and welcome to American Dreamland. I'm Max Chavez.
I'm Misty Stone.
And I'm Christopher Logan.
Puerto Rico, 1994. Simple family home, dead of night, when all of a sudden, a bump in the night awakes the family. Seeing what causes the noise, the family is surprised when they see 4 or 6 little gray creatures under the bed. Horrified by this, they decide to quickly shoo them out of the house like a bad mosquito or mouse that they don't want to kill. And this is the beginning of the mystical and wonderful tale of the Chupacabra. So today, we will be talking about the mystical cryptid known as the Chupacabra, a creature surrounded in mysteries, being seen in locations with such diversity as Puerto Rico, Belize, Oregon, and even London, England. The Chupacabra has remained a core fixture in the imagination of the cryptid community, and it's one of the first where hunters and enthusiasts were able to find and communicate each other, not just through their hunts, but also through the internet, forming communities to discuss and share news that would previously have been gatekept behind the limited technology of the 1990s and the geographic separation between them. So today, we're not just going to examine the Chupacabra, we're going to examine the first Chupacabra webpage on the internet, called the Chupacabra homepage, created by Tito Armstrong in 1995, as well as including a few clips for him to clarify things from his May 8th, 1996 appearance on Art Bell's Coast to Coast AM. We'll also be exploring to see what, if anything, the tale of the Chupacabra can tell us about the American mind and, as always, how we got to our certain moment.
How sure are you that it's the first Chupacabra webpage?
I have a lot of confidence that I will explain in the following episode, but that is also, in my defense, this is not me doing rigorous research. This is how he was presented on Coast to Coast.
I see. Okay.
Hector, or Tito as you wish, Armstrong, who is from Puerto Rico. He just happens to be the guy who operates the Chupacabra web page on the internet. Also happens to be studying this whole thing, is at Princeton University in New Jersey, and is as much of an expert as you're going to find these days on Chupacabra, which is some kind of horrible new animal. Here somehow, unimaginably, either something new, something from somebody's lab, something created, or something that has come through the veils.
Can you still access the webpage?
You can.
Okay.
And I was, in fact, all of my research for this episode, minus one kind of reference to a book by a skeptic called Tracking the Chupacabra, basically came from the webpage itself. So there's a lot there. So let's just, before we get into it, is what, Misty, Chris, what are your thoughts on the Chupacabra?
I think I have a lot of fond childhood memories of the Chupacabra because I feel like it was the first cryptid I was introduced to as a child. That was probably, there's shows on what would have been History, maybe Discovery Network back in the day about the Chupacabra that I'd stay up and watch. I'm sure I listened at some point to a Coast to Coast episode about it with my dad.
There's definitely...
I feel like it would be really big on Coast to Coast because it was like the one that was coming out and everybody was talking about, right?
Yeah. I feel like he was really popular in the late 90s to early 2000s.
Yeah. And, well, let's, before we get in, Chris.
I don't know, never much interested me.
He doesn't have that Bigfoot riz.
I don't know, like, it just seemed way more like an animal to me. Like, people kind of treat it like a nuisance or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just not interested. I feel like there's a bit more mystique to the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch.
Yeah, I will say is, usually there's, like, an easy divide for cryptids is just, like, you have the big ones that have a lot of lore. It's kind of like comic book superheroes, where you have, like, the big ones who have so much, like, conflicting lore and everything, and you're always have to figuring this out and, like, what is the true version of this cryptid. And then you have ones that, like, people would kind of know about, like, in the general public, but, like, there's just one story. And it's just, like, it's always the same kind of version of that.
Yeah.
But I will say is, at least in the early days of the mid-90s, there was some controversy over the origins and specific details of the Chupacabra. So,
Tito, what is the best guess about where this thing comes from?
The best guess?
Yeah.
That's very hard to say. I mean, theories, people have been sending me theories ever since I put the webpage on, and they range from very out there to very mainstream explanations. I would hesitate to hazard a guess, but basically the consensus, if there is any, seems to be that this is something that is not native to the Earth. I mean,
So let's get into it by going in to a history of what the Chupacabra is. And again, I'm using the Chupacabra homepage by Tito Armstrong. Again, the origins of the reports of this legendary creature go back to ancient times of myth and wonder, with the first possible sighting of the Chupacabra being in the early 70s in Texas, according to the homepage. And by early 70s, I mean that in, like, 1972, there were some cattle mutilations, and then in, like, 1974, there was just a weird dead bull, like, in just random parts of Texas that retroactively have been applied to the Chupacabra.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Were they drained of blood?
Oh, the cattle were mutilated.
Okay.
The bull was drained of blood.
I feel like a lot of the mutilations got blamed on, like, all different kinds of things, like aliens.
Yeah.
And, like,
People were
satanic rituals.
Yeah, people were really looking for things other than to explain, like, bored teenagers in the age of the internet. But yeah, so and this is what I found most fascinating about this is that I just have always had the Chupacabra in my life, and it's just like, oh, it's probably just connects to folklore or something. No, there's no, like, indigenous myth or folktale about the goat sucker or a vampiric creature like this. There's nothing. It's just, in 1995, there were just some mutilated livestock in Puerto Rico, and everyone was like, I don't know, probably a monster. So, yeah, there were not any regular reports or incidents of the Chupacabra until 1995, with the vast majority of these reports happening within the island of Puerto Rico itself. Even then, when you started to hear about international reports of the Chupacabra spreading, it was mostly confined to the American Southwest and Mexico, with occasional parts of one or two sightings in, like, the more deserty parts of rural Oregon, and then I think one random sighting in Michigan, according to the homepage. So, again, it is basically, the Chupacabra just appeared wholesale in 1995 as just kind of a prepackaged monster to explain a weird thing happening in Puerto Rico at the time.
And then do we think of him like the big feats of, like, there's multiple, it's a whole society, or it's one Chupacabra?
Well, I feel like there's lots of different types of descriptions of Chupacabra, like, physically.
There are a lot of physical differences in the description of Chupacabra, and it does seem like there is not a singular Chupacabra. It is always, representative of a species. especially with, some in Puerto Rico, some in like Texas and New Mexico and stuff like that. So again, we're not really getting any reports until 1995, and there's a reason for that. So before I get into that, I want to talk about the founder of the Chupacabra homepage, which is a man named Tito Armstrong.
Hector, or Tito as you wish, Armstrong, who is from Puerto Rico. He just happens to be the guy who operates the Chupacabra web page on the internet. Also happens to be studying this whole thing, is at Princeton University in New Jersey, and is as much of an expert as you're going to find these days on Chupacabra, which is some kind of horrible new animal. Here, somehow, unimaginably, either something new, something from somebody's lab, something created, or something that has come through the veils.
What is his expertise to be able to talk about Chupacabra? What gives him the rights to have the first real internet archive of this fantastic cryptid? Well, there are a few things. First, he is from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
That is the extent of that point. He is just a Puerto Rican guy. 2, he went to Princeton University. Not in biology. I don't even know what his major is. He was just, at the time of creating this website, a student at Princeton University. Which leads us to 3, which is why I know so much about how important Princeton was to him. And it wasn't necessarily the grand education he got at one of our beloved Ivy Leagues. It was the fact that they had a pretty decent computer science program, because there is no Chupacabra homepage that you can just type in an address. I found it by typing in Tito Armstrong into Google, and then his self-made student website from 1996 when he was a student at Princeton showed up, and I clicked on it, and it just gave a little biography on him, and then it had linked to his other little computer web pages, and then you go to the most GeoCities-ass website, like real 1996 hours. And
on your homepage that people can see?
I have various articles from many magazines and some newspapers that detail what the whole Chupacabras phenomenon from the beginning, from when it became very, very prevalent in the news. I have an article, for example, from a magazine called Strange Magazine, and I have an article from various other internet resources that pretty much sum up what the Chupacabra is and what people have been seeing and what has been the result, which is animals being found with their blood drained. And that's one part of the page. Another part of the page deals with like the Chupacabras as a cultural phenomenon, the way people have been commercializing this. And
yeah, I think you can get a Chupacabra T-shirt now, right?
Yeah, actually, I own one myself.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, my grandmother sent me one from Puerto Rico. Apparently, they're selling very well there and in New York, is what I've been hearing.
I say that Princeton is important not because of the intellect you require to be able to go to such an elite institution, or that there was some kind of research thing. I think if you were a student at Princeton in the mid-90s, computer stuff was just really accessible and easy for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, there's no difference in this regard if you went to like MIT or like Stanford in terms of just access to a computer. And again, the website is just linked to his Princeton website, and we can post the URL of it in the show description, but if I remember correctly, it is literally just princeton.edu type whatever kind of random code they made when they made the webpage. So Ivy Leagues are doing something. So with that, what did Tito Armstrong say? So his description of the Chupacabra is, for the non-Puerto Ricans among us, the Chupacabra is a creature that is currently rampaging through the island. relieving farm animals of their blood. As of yet, the Chupacabra, which translates into goatsucker, has not attacked humans, although no one can say for certain that this will not happen in the future. The origin of its name comes from its earliest attacks, where goats were found with their blood drained and with 2 peculiar puncture marks on their necks. There have been reports alleging that the particular organs were missing from some of the victims' bodies, without any visible way for those organs to have been removed. So you're saying this kind of the origins of this like mythic thing very much tying in to Puerto Rican, folklore. He talks about like the island, and again, he has to introduce it and is presenting it. It's like, this is something that we've dealt with as part of our culture since time immemorial.
Yeah, so I'm assuming he's seen it.
He has not.
Oh.
Because again, if you're doing the math, we don't really actually start getting reports of Chupacabra until 1995, and he is part of Princeton class of 1996. So I'm not saying he didn't go to Puerto Rico in this time period, but he was at least living in New Jersey at the height of or at least for the first part of the height of the Chupacabra hype and phenomenon.
He probably would have visited, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like he was talking about it to me like he's always dealt with the Chupacabra.
Yeah, like it's part of our cultural struggle.
Yeah, like he's had to, growing up in Puerto Rico, like that was part of growing up is the Chupacabra.
So I would pick up and run. Let's. You wanted to talk a little bit too about the cultural aspect of this. So give me your best shot there.
Well, basically, you touched upon it earlier when you were talking about the Chupacabras as a myth. I find the subject to be as interesting, or maybe even more interesting than the whole mystery of the Chupacabras, the creature. I think that the way, especially Puerto Ricans, have reacted to this, and then Mexicans and Americans and South Americans have reacted to this, points to the fact that of the creation of a new type of folkloric beast, or similar to, say, for example, a leprechaun in Ireland. So this has become a part of Puerto Rican culture, for good or for worse, right now. And it's also been given life in the commercial sphere due to the T-shirts, and there's been a couple songs written on it.
Songs? Chupacabra songs?
Yeah, in a genre called merengue, which is a type of Latin music.
Right.
There's been a couple songs written about that, and they've been hits in Puerto Rico.
It's one of those, like, I'm sure, you two have, growing up, those just, like, urban legends of, like, it's not in, like, the Wikipedia page for, like, Ohio, city in Ohio you're from or whatever, but, like, if you're from there, you know what's going on. Like, I'm from LA, and we definitely have a lot of, like, those little stories and rumors.
Yeah, we have the Witch's Grave, where I'm from, in Ohio, and somebody back in, like, 2008 made a YouTube video investigating my hometown, and you can still watch it.
Yeah. So clearly it's just basically, and I think this speaks a lot to like the rise of the internet, of like having access to something, again, destroying barriers, and again, allowing people the opportunity, because so often with things like Orientalism and just like media structures and everything, it is like we're not accurately representing what this kind of cultural thing is. And this is definitely a description that is emphasizing, like, you may be hearing about this now, but we can put a face or a name to this phenomenon that is going on that you damn gringos do not understand. You colonize our island, and then you're like, you don't understand the forces you're meddling with, and now you're trying to just market our lore. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
Now, in order to make it so it seems like we are not, overtly biased, I will acknowledge the other side for the lame, skeptical people in terms of that, which is the name Chupacabra comes from Puerto Rican comedian and entrepreneur Silviero Perez, who basically read about the reports of like, hey, there's some weird things going on with goats, and he just said, oh man, the goat sucker's gonna get you. And naturally, being a comedian in Puerto Rico, he said it in Spanish, which is why the Chupacabra is the literal Spanish translation of goat sucker.
That's pretty good. Do you think he's ever seen the goat sucker?
I think it's a conspiracy where he knew it was real, so he named it something silly to kind of like deny. It's like it's the Puerto Rican version of Gulf of Tonkin.
I think you're onto something with that.
Yeah. So there is that, and I think this also comes in a little bit as Chris mentioned, is like there are a lot of reports of what is the Chupacabra, because while there are aesthetic differences, like let's just take, the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. Like one is always a sea dragon or a sea dinosaur creature with like varying like aesthetic details. Some people will say it has horns, some people will say it's entirely snake-like or has a body, but generally the same. Bigfoot, sometimes he's hunched over, the level of intelligence varies, but it is just a giant, great North American swamp ape of some kind.
Yeah.
The Chupacabra, by contrast, has received a number of different things. Usually there is some kind of canoid or canine-like shape that is associated with it. It is usually considered a more small creature. So it definitely is, considered the size of like a cat or a small dog or something. That's pretty much the only universal thing that we have in terms of the descriptions, because looking even on the Chupacabra homepage, we were able to get everything from it's just a really weird, mean-looking dog to it's kind of like a kangaroo to it's as I said in the opening of this episode, a gray creature with big black eyes that looks like the gray alien kind of thing. And sometimes it has a spiked back, sometimes it has wings. There really is a lot of ever-changing nature of it.
There are a lot of people in my audience that don't have computers, Hector, and they can't go to your homepage. So let's begin this way. What the hell is this thing, and what does it look like? Can you describe it as best you can without being able to show people a picture? If you just close your eyes and describe it, what does this creature look like?
Okay, well, according to most eyewitness accounts or most reports, this creature supposedly has the shape of a small kangaroo, but is sort of reptilian in nature with two large red eyes, and so basically it would look like a cross between a small kangaroo and a small dinosaur. That's, I think, the best way to describe it. And it has allegedly some spines growing out of its back.
So I guess I'll just ask, what do you two, like when you think of the Chupacabra, what do you two think of, like physically?
I think of like a small, scaly, dog-like creature with like ridges going down its back.
Mm-hmm.
I think of like almost from childhood. I think of the what was it, the 70s Hobbit animation of Gollum.
Yeah, okay.
If you think of him, with the spikes, sharp fangs.
So a vampiric Gollum from the Ralph Bakshi version.
Yes.
Cool. I'm very similar, however, my weird animation thing is I imagine it like a green demonic Totodile from Pokemon.
Okay.
For those of you not in the know, that is the water starter from the second generation. So kind of like flattened nose, big demony eyes, and screen, but otherwise very Pokemon-like. And probably can only say its own name.
Yeah, so it's just going around saying Chupacabra.
Or something like Truby. Because some Pokemon cannot say their full name. They just like do parts of it.
Okay. Yeah, we're all very diverse in our interpretations.
Mm-hmm. Which I think speaks to it. And there might be one reason for that. Just to give credit to these boring skeptics, like one Benjamin Radford, who, in his defense, did spend 5 years rather than the 5 hours I spent researching for this episode. He spent 5 years writing his 2011 book. His 2011 book, Tracking the Chupacabra. And he said that the first eyewitness reports of the Chupacabra did mention the more alien-like aspect, the kind of big alien eyes, the kind of looking like a normal kind of gray creature. But what he then found is doing some further research is that those initial witness descriptions matched up perfectly with something called SIL. Now, do either of you two know what SIL is?
No.
Okay, well, I will answer that. That is the name of the alien monster in the 1995 motion picture Species, starring Alfred Molina as a horny British scientist.
Did we watch that one?
We did watch. We've watched it. It's an interesting movie. Starring Alfred Molina and Forrest Whitaker as a psychic. For some reason, it's not that Forrest Whitaker is in the movie. It's that the premise is like, we made an alien.
Okay.
It gets evil, it escapes and is eating people, and then we have to hunt it down so it stops, killing normal people. So you get Michael Madsen's character, who is like the hardcore government hitman and assassin who has a cat. You have Virginia Madsen, who's like a very good scientist. Alfred Molina, another scientist. Ben Kingsley as a sinister scientist, as he clearly just understood after he won the Oscar, my artistic legacy is fine, let me just get money. And then again, so all of these, yes, a typical thing. And then Forrest Whitaker, whose only thing is he's a psychic, which it's not like, oh, there are other... It's just, assumed, we all know psychics exist, and Forrest Whitaker is one of them, and we're introduced to his psychic powers because he's in a therapy meeting, and he's just so horrible. Things I've seen. It's how do you go? It's sorry, I have to go. They're here for me. And then just a military guy walks in, and he's like, we need a job for you. He's like, I know. So, just... very 90s of just throw a psychic in, why not? So basically most of the images, including the famous drawings of the Chupacabra, are basically just describing a monster from a 1995 just above sexploitation film, with that it definitely, if you've seen where that franchise went, it really just was we have stopped caring. It is just all fan service, all horny for people who are afraid to buy pornography before.
Wait, there was more than one?
There's 5 or 6 of them.
Oh, alright.
It's one of those classic, straight to DVD where they're just this made money and part of it's going to be beloved in some way, so let's just milk it out. It is kind of the horny sci-fi horror nerds version of The Land Before Time, where it's just there's one actually decent movie that's at the beginning and they actually made it a motion picture, and then they're just we're just gonna release one of these until they stop making money straight to DVD.
So it was pretty popular.
It was decently popular. I also don't, I think it's weird because all of us and our friends will we'll talk about how we saw The Land Before Time when we were kids, but that was already when it was on video. It came out the year I was born, so I wouldn't have seen it at the earliest till I was 3 or 4. So actually I think it came out before I was born. So it could have just been word of mouth, where it's not that this is a massive success. It's there's enough ways for us to make money, so let's just kind of keep pushing them out.
Okay.
So I do love how just how we always just have to go to just dumb movies or things in order to just use metaphor. It reminds me a lot of how, the QAnon phrase, where we go one, we go all, comes from a 1997 movie with Jeff Bridges and Scott Wolf from Party of Five about the Coast Guard. And apparently, at one point in the trailer, they say, and the Coast Guard are saying is, where we go one, we go all. But then they cut the line from the movie.
Oh.
And then just how everything is remember that thing in that one movie? That's the new conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of times it's not even remotely connected to, like, the actual movie, or the plot of the movie, I should say.
It's the very much, like, dumb guy interpretation. Because, to be fair, in the movie Species, we're going on a much longer digression about Species than I thought, but I'm fine with that. So, if I remember correctly, in the movie Species, she, like, starts off as, like, a little girl who, like, looks like a little girl, but has alien DNA, and then they have to kill her, and it doesn't kill her, and she escapes. And so she's just, like, on her own on a train to Los Angeles, and she's like, I'm scared, and I'm hungry, and food isn't feeding me, and then this, like, nice old woman is like, oh, I'll help you, and then as a child, she eats her, and then the next time we see her, she's an adult. So it's like, I think it is like, oh, I saw something where a weird gray alien eats people and gets powerful. There must be an animal version of that doing it with goats or whatever. Which, I guess if we're going on a Species digression, a big part of how that movie works is she always seduces her victims. Did the Chupacabra seduce the goats?
I mean, he could have. I mean, is he goat-esque? I don't know.
Well, I think it's more animal... It's more animalistic, so I think you can just do it with pheromones.
Oh, okay.
They might have done that in the movie too.
How do goats seduce each other? Do they even? They're not like dancing or have feathers.
I think they headbutt each other.
Oh,
and
that's the competition.
Yeah, the competition.
Oh,
and
the fight over the female.
Yeah, and then if you lose, you have to sit in the goat equivalent of the cuck chair. The cuck barn? I don't know.
Now, this is reminding me of that movie. What's that movie called? With the lamb girl?
Midsummer?
Not Midsummer, where the girl... That's the Ari Aster film.
Yeah.
The lamb, where the...
Oh, the movie The Lamb.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
The Lamb. Yeah. That movie where that creature goes and fucks one of the lambs, and it produces a half lamb, half human little girl, and the family decides to raise it until the dad comes back.
Okay, if I had a nickel for every movie where a strange alien-like creature did basically bestiality with something, and it was commenting on a very weird sexual moral that was probably the fetish of the director, I would have 3 nickels. Which is a lot, because there is also the movie Splice, where, if you've seen that movie, spoiler alert, the monster they create, it's like, oh, we used, like, a couple uses their DNA, and, like, as part of, like, this weird genetic thing, and there is a very weird scene. By the way, this thing is humanoid, but it is never human. It is always very weird alien and monster. Yeah. And it basically uses its power, despite the fact that it views both of the geneticists who make it as its parents, because they did make it, and it's, you know, their mixing of DNA. It does seduce and have sex with Adrian Brody, its father. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. It seduces and has sex with 2-time Academy Award winner Adrian Brody. And before you go, listen, you gotta start your career somewhere. He made this film about 7 years after The Pianist, which is where he won his first Oscar. So this is not like, we had to just make whatever movie they offered us in the 90s. This was like, I have won an Oscar film. So at least 3 weird films that involve that. But, so back to the Chupacabra, which thankfully, despite it being on the internet, granted I stayed on the homepage, I did not have to deal with a lot of slash fic. So, you know, my sanity check was passed there. Is that not only did Benjamin Radford determine that basically all the eyewitnesses were just describing a weird thing in a movie they saw, and kind of just went on from there, which would explain it's also a shape-shifting alien, and it is also, like, you know, a lot of the reports of the time are different, but start from the point of it looking like a small gray alien. It also determined that, you know, actually when you look at any of the, what they call necrotopsies of all of the animals who were alleged to have been attacked by Chupacabra, they weren't fully drained of their blood. They were just mutilated or attacked and died because of blood loss. So, like, very typical ways of why you would die without blood.
In your system.
Yeah, apparently you don't need to suck blood. If you just cut someone and they bleed out, they die.
True.
As well as the fact that biological reports from the University of Michigan in the late aughts determined that not only was there actually blood left in these creatures, but the attacks were consistent with coyotes who had some kind of mange disease or condition. So it's like, that would also explain, this weird dog-like thing that looks like a monster is killing sheep.
Also, there's a theory that, the reason why you'd see more of these, trying to go after sheep is that they're too weak to hunt wild prey.
Yeah, that would explain why they would go after livestock. And just to, I guess you could make a point that the locations where you most commonly saw the Chupacabra, the American Southwest, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Belize, I guess, and even certain parts of rural Oregon, people would argue that is also the natural habitat of various coyote species, so it would be consistent of why you got this, weird sighting of all of these creatures.
But coyotes having mange makes me sad.
It does.
And so, I don't like that theory.
So, I say we find the theory of what is the actual truth and origin, because you can be the boring, I spent 5 years researching and found out it's just a horrible warning sign of our impending environmental collapse, or just the brutality of nature and the environment itself. Or you could focus on the fact of what we all agree about the Chupacabra. The first is that it exhibits some level of intelligent behavior and possesses some rudimentary skill of being undetectable. In other words, they are in fact have higher than animal intelligence, that they're very aware, have some kind of self-awareness, and they not only have, it's not just that they have camouflage techniques, they are aware of the act of perception and can use the environment in order to better perceive. That also then brings into the question of, is the Chupacabra actually a cryptid, or is that just a false flag to hide sinister motivations? So I think we should look at the evidence of what kind of cryptid the Chupacabra is. Because the evidence, according to the homepage, is the Chupacabra is like a normal animal in the sense that it exhibits normal mating and group behavior. Its food source is the blood of animals, so kind of traditional hunter-prey. It does appear, and I don't care if this also supports the coyote idea, that they're not just eating anything, there are specific animals that work better for its diet, which would, fit in with the food chain and everything. Its food source is the blood of animals, and it does not drink the blood of humans, which again, it would not, very few things will just naturally attack humans unless they are usually provoked. And I don't think we're the natural prey of any type of predator. Usually all animal attacks is some form of self-defense or extremity.
What seemed to begin as a taste for chicken and goats recently seems to have turned to a taste for humans. There's reports now of human beings being attacked.
And if one assumes that this creature is a species and it exhibits normal species characteristics, which it means that it breeds or it that there's more than one, then I guess it would be inevitable for it to have more and more contact with human beings, and then and interaction or altercation is inevitable then. But I don't.
So there's that, and again, it dwells under the soil in cave-like structures. So yeah, it has a very natural environment. Again, several above animal intelligent species will have not quite homes, but use the environment to create things. I'm thinking of beaver dams and things like that.
Yeah, and not to give any more credit to the coyote theory, but coyotes, there haven't been many fatal coyote attacks on humans.
So it does seem that, and again, there is multiple variety of nature that would explain why there are different things, because some of them have structures that have wings, so they have the power of flight. Definitely a strange thing. And it's also why they've been able to escape captivity.
Oh, because they can fly.
Yeah. To be able to do that, it's also why there wouldn't be tracks.
True. So it's just flying around like a vampire bat.
Exactly. It is like that is another thing, if it could just be a vampire bat. Speaking of vampires, here comes the questions. Are the Chupacabra demons? Are they actually otherworldly monsters indulging in satanic ceremonies to be able to kind of engage and focus on those things?
See, it always goes back to religion.
It does go back to religion.
You a religious person, Tito?
Not really.
Okay. There are many religious people who would say this is a manifestation of the devil on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly some of what it does is pretty devilish,
I would guess.
to put it mildly.
To be fair, they don't. I will actually say this. This was refreshing, given our last few episodes. There was almost no mention. I could not find on the homepage or in my initial research any talk of like biblical stuff.
Okay.
So this is, I think, our first fully Bible-free episode, because even Stan Johnson mentioned the Archangel Michael. Actually, no. Armel's whole episode did not have explicit Bible references, but maybe it should have.
Yeah, Mel needed Jesus.
I don't know if Mel needed. Listen,
Mel needed something.
I think as three just annoying atheists, we're not going to be reverse edging and go like, that man needed Jesus. But I think he needed the higher power that a 12-step program provided.
Yeah.
To deal with the government stealing his back teeth and not him selling them to a medical school or whatever.
Yeah.
So are they demons? It's brought up, but mostly in the sense of the fact that in the interview on Coast to Coast, it's just like, we actually don't know what the fuck these things are. Maybe they're demons. They have a lot of demonic qualities, but that's kind of like considered the joke theory, like in Chupacabra research circles. Is like everyone knows it is an actual biological creature. It's not some kind of like otherworldly, satanic demon spawn or whatever.
So is the fact that it can fly, is that why it's getting all the way up to Oregon or going to London?
Well, that's the other thing is some people have said it has wings, but again, going with the inconsistency, not every depiction of Chupacabra has wings. In fact, the most famous image, which is just the kind of like weird lizard, which is I think why I think of it as like demonic totodile, is it is just like a little like the famous drawing is just like a kind of gray reptilian, like a gray alien mixed with like a dinosaur or whatever, and it doesn't have any wings. So that is part of the thing that changes or has to do with it. So what would explain why there are so many inconsistent looks of that? And obviously, there's one answer of how you explain if it's not demonic, if it is a biological creature, but it has all of these stranges. What do you think the answer could be of why the Chupacabra would do these things? Or have all of these different appearances?
Shapeshifter.
Close.
I don't know.
Meme image, aliens.
Now, this sounds absolutely insane, and I'm aware of how this sounds. But if you look into the whole story, along with all the other supporting accounts, then if you are of the same mindset, you could potentially come to the same conclusion.
That's right. The Chupacabra is an alien, but not just an actual alien or something, but rather the creature is, quote, an offshoot or pet of other intelligent beings that have come to Earth a long time ago. And again, we've witnessed an explosion in the number of Chupacabra due to some unknown factor that may have had to do with other recent attacks and other UFO sightings. In fact, many of the quote-unquote scholars that are mentioned and referenced on the Chupacabra homepage are, in fact, ufologists who talk about their potential alien origins and how they are alien creatures who have been brought or abandoned on Earth. Which I find very interesting because they talk a lot about it, but at no point do they then make the argument that the Chupacabra is in and of itself intelligent, or do they make the argument of like which aliens or try and make the connection of UFO sightings in one part of Puerto Rico versus like attacks that have happened. It's just they're aliens.
They're aliens, but they're
They're pets.
Yeah, like that's why there's just different types of alien pets.
Yeah.
So, would this be the equivalent of the aliens, like, dropping a cat off in some random location because they just don't want to take care of it anymore?
Or it, like, the aliens brought it on vacation and it escaped, and they didn't know until they were already, like, halfway back to Andromeda or whatever.
I mean, with my pets, I would go back for them.
Yeah, but with your pets, it's not a million light years.
I would still have to go back.
Yeah.
And it can't take them that long to go a million light years if they're aliens and they got all this. You know, as we learned in the Starseed episode, they're traveling, they're traversing. And Stan Johnson, they can traverse time
we don't know if these are part. Here's the thing: they're obviously not part of the Galactic Federation, because if they were, then you could just teleport back. And I also don't think that the vegan Bigfoot of Stan Johnson's Federation, I feel that they would obviously allow the balance of nature to exist. I do not think that they would domesticate predators like we have with, like, dogs and cats.
Right, but was there a pre-vegan time? There was. Dan says there was a pre-vegan time because they were forced to change their diet.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't like, oh, we realized killing animals was bad. It was, everything was contaminated, wasn't it?
It's true, but then I feel they would have died. I feel
like we have a lot more information if we get that book.
Yeah, if we got the book.
What does Stan Johnson have to say about the Chupacabra?
Yeah.
Support us on Patreon, and we will do our second premium episode where I will further I will do the hyper-normalization version of our Survivor episode. So I talk less about weird Germans and can just speak in a weird Adam Curtis voice.
Yes.
Sorry, I just have to pause. I will probably cut this, but I'm now thinking of, like, Adam Curtis narrating a scene from Survivor. And it's very funny to me. Well, the woman yells, "You don't know me." She is clearly bringing upon the stress that she is not speaking in her native language and is an immigrant who, despite serving in the nation's military, is still ostracized and alienated from her labor. And yet, she has been given purchase into the elite, having won the game of survival once before. Yet her white peers still ignore her and the contributions that she can make.
That's pretty.
We are living through strange days. Across Britain, Europe and America, societies have become split and polarized, not just in politics, but across the whole culture.
Good.
$5 a month, and I will just Adam Curtis the fuck out of anything. Below deck, Trump tweets.
Below Deck.
What? Okay, let's just briefly go over, not to put Chris on the spot, but, like, what is your just terrible junk food guilty pleasure? For Misty, it's Below Deck. Obviously, this is now the, like, 5th time.
Wait, what's what for Misty?
Below Deck. For me, it's obviously Survivor, so...
Like reality TV?
It doesn't have to be reality TV, it's just, like, clearly junk. Like, you know, I would say, like, the equivalent of... I would say our things are better, but we are obviously biased, but, like, The Big Bang Theory. It's, like, just junk food entertainment.
We both like terrible movies.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that doesn't count because, like, I will jokingly, like, bring, like, analyzing Survivor, but, like, I don't view it, I will say that those elements are there, but I am not watching it as, like, let me just do some more sociological experiment on the population. I'm just like, big guy win medal. Strategy vote annoying bitch out. Like, that's why I watch the show. And I feel like we relish in the absurdity of bad movies, whereas, like, I think, like, Misty and I will accept the absurdity on face value of our reality TV guild.
Yeah, I think I enjoy watching people being messy in a way that I could never conceptualize being because of my social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that's why I like Below Deck. I also like Sister Wives, 1,000 Pound Sisters, all those good TLC shows.
So they're just two. How equal are the sisters? And are they two 500-pound sisters, or is there like a 600-pound and a 400-pound one?
It used to be like that way back when it started. Now we're on season 7. The one you didn't expect has lost the weight and has gotten skin surgery. Now the other one she lost the weight first. Got the lost the weight first. Got the whatever surgery, the stomach surgery, then she's regained all the weight. She had 2 kids, divorced her husband. Now she's hanging out with this guy and is crying about everything. Pretty sure she's on drugs. She got arrested because she got bit by a camel.
What?
She got arrested. Her and her new boyfriend were taking the boys to one of those farms you drive through and feed, and the camel bit her, and they found a bunch of mushrooms and weed, like 3 ounces of weed in the car, plus mushrooms, with 2 children under 5 in the back. So they both got arrested.
Oh.
I don't know. As far as reality TV shows go, I never really watched them. Like, the only way I consumed that stuff was, like, indirectly through watching The Soup.
The morning show with Mike and Juliet is constantly breaking new ground. This week, they did a show on the dangers of binge drinking. Then, for no reason that anybody can figure out, they cut to a picture of a cat eating spaghetti. I'm not kidding. Then they continue their regular broadcast. The cat was never mentioned, nor was the cat in any other part of the show. It was, for lack of a better word, art.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, with reality TV, I hate the constant, like, not cliffhanger, but just, like, baiting you.
Yeah.
I can't stand that, so it just turns me off to the point where I just can't watch.
Yeah.
That's probably why you can, like, tolerate Survivor when I watch it, because, like, they like, sometimes hint what could happen later, but they don't ever really be like, who's gonna be voted out? Here's 2 more episodes. It's like, nope, if there's a tribal council,
Not even just,
who's leaving.
like, for different episodes, like, within the episode itself.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just, I guess, it's probably some reality TV shows are better, but my impression of most reality TV is that, like, there's, like, maybe 10 or so minutes of actual information, like, juicy shit, and the rest of it's just filler.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's very true for Sister Wives.
There is also, like, I think at a certain point it's just, like, it is just, I get it's cheaper to produce, but at least our own little Chupacabra is here making adorable little noises.
That was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
She makes that noise whenever she's cleaning herself.
Yeah.
That's so cute. You're so cute.
Oh, Roanoke. Like, I get, like, I've never really watched Below Deck, but I can see, like, why you do that show for, like, 1 million seasons, because it's, like, that is a weird job where you are catering to weird people. I don't know if they actually, like, do that on the show, but it's, like, I can understand, like, very weird, hyper-specialized job, or some kind of, like, competition, not just Survivor, but, like, Big Brother or Amazing Race or stuff. It's like, okay, there's that kind of sports thing. I don't get, like, the Real Housewives where it's just like, we're just rich and hate each other, which is like fun to watch clips of, but I feel like I get the same watching a YouTube short or whatever.
This probably exists somewhere, and I guess I need to find it. Just like a modern version of just someone who just, like, chooses the clips to show people and comment on.
Yeah.
I have some bad news if you want to actually engage with that. I think I know where you can get that.
Why is it bad news?
Well, because you'd have to sign up for TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, like, with the soup gone, like...
I want the, like 20-minute show that just summarizes all the best bits of reality TV. That's all I want.
Bring it back. Bring it back, Chris.
The problem
But then
is,
I'd have to watch it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the point. I don't want to watch it. I want somebody else to do that.
Chris is not like, I want these great comedy writers to get a start, or we need to bring back some form of monoculture where we can all connect and understand. He's like, no, I want the end product. I don't want to do any of the work. Which, like, fair. I did, like, as much of, like, just a fan I am, I think a couple seasons ago I tried, like, watching an episode of, like, Big Brother, because it was, like, on right after Survivor or something, and I'm like, okay, Big Brother's on. What's this like? So I looked up, like, what was going on, and it's like, got it. They're living in a house, and it's just a basic thing. And then I go, and there's a robot who's telling them what to do, and they're only eating frozen pizza and ice cream. And it's like, these people all hate each other, and they're referencing people who are no longer on the cast, which I guess is my fault for watching in the middle, but it's just, it was so much like, what is this show even about?
I don't really know with Big Brother. And I agree with Housewives, because I try. Because that's my guilt. When I have to travel for work, that's when I'll watch those shows.
Mm-hmm.
And when whatever Housewives is on, I'm like, ugh. boring, because half of it is boring. And then it's like, whose party do we have to go to? I don't want to go to her party because she said my husband got into an awful accident. And she shouldn't have referenced that.
Oh, the one thing about the Real Housewives, or I guess the two things is, one, there's one like OG housewife lady who's like is no longer allowed on the show because she tried to unionize the housewives, which based, and then two is like one of those weird, like very particular moment of time that I do somewhat have nostalgia for. It's not that things were better, it's just like it wasn't so in your face of like that. There's an early controversy in the Obama administration is like they had the first Obama state dinner was like with the head of the Prime Minister of India or something. And then like this couple got arrested because they were not on the guest list and they snuck in. And like there's pictures of them on the red carpet and everything and all of that. And like they just pretended to be attendees. And then like they briefly got casted on the Real Housewives of DC. I think it was a conspiracy so that Obama could shore up the Bravo reality mom vote.
Yeah.
And we went on for another hour or so. So we decided to put a split in the episode here, and we'll pick up talking about various government cover-up and conspiracies in part 2. Thank you all for listening, for American Dreamland, and for Misty Stone and Chris Locken. I am Max Chavez. Goodbye.
We're searching for a beast of yore with a long neck and a tail. Everywhere we look, we lose on this long and dusty trail. We're westward ho, 'cause the ranchers know something isn't right. Their goats are being snatched away in the darkness of the night.